The thing with cancer, it lingers around. Like sometimes I look at them and I'm like, what if it comes back? Our bodies give us signs. The doctor told me our bodies give us signs. Nothing happens randomly. Nothing happens all of a sudden. So sometimes you think you're healthy, move around, have fun, enjoy life, But there are signs our bodies give us and we ignore them.
Yeah.
When I was diagnosed, I realized that I had been getting signs before, like maybe 4 years before.
My name is Jackie. How have you been since we last met? Our hashtag is Evolve Rwanda. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do it. And for those that have subscribed, it's a pleasure having you here with us. Now, we promise you interesting stories and interesting personalities. Having celebrated World Cancer Day on 4th Feb, we thought it wise to have with us a champion. That's what he describes himself as. He's a cancer champion. As you follow this conversation, you will know why he deserves that title, if not even better. Edmund Kagire, he's 36 years old. I was looking at him and I couldn't believe he's 36, but hey, he's 36 years old. He's a journalist, he's a social media influencer, he's a writer. He has served in several media houses, including the New Times, Nation Media Group. He currently writes for Kigali Today. He's an amazing guy, and I have no doubt that his story will leave you inspired. Do you have anyone in the family or in your circle of friends who has been diagnosed recently with cancer? Then this show is the one you will recommend to them. Edmund, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Happy you honored our invitation.
Thanks for having me.
I was worried you'd say no. Let's go back to your childhood. I want to see if the cancer was there from your childhood. How were you? Were you a happy, healthy, bubbly one, or were you the sickly type?
I think two factors. I think it's either hereditary and also sometimes our lifestyles do contribute to us getting cancer or other conditions that are non-communicable diseases that are based on our lifestyles. But for me, I think we have a history of cancer in our family. I was born in Uganda, like many Rwandans. Born in Uganda, then after the country was liberated, we came back to Rwanda, and I'm 36 years old, as you said. So I was born in a village called Ntungamo in Uganda, and
I know that
that's
place.
where my parents lived. So my mom died due to breast cancer. Quite a few cases in our family with cancer. But my cancer, the type of cancer I got, which is liver cancer, in 2015, I was diagnosed in 2015, is something that perhaps was escalated by my lifestyle, of course. You have to mention that, because ostensibly everyone has a tumor in their stomach, but for that tumor to be malignant and then cancerous, it takes a few things that trigger that condition. So for me, my doctor told me that tumor had been there for quite some time. By the time they operated me, it was about 12.6 centimeters, a very big tumor, the size of a big mango.
Oh, goodness.
So it had been there, but I had not noticed. So I go on with my lifestyle, of course.
So let me take you back. When you say lifestyle, what do you mean?
What we eat and what we drink.
Tell us what you used to drink.
I was a normal guy, of course, hanging out with friends, a beer or two here and there, and of course eat everything oily stuff that has white wheat, lots of sugar. I was not aware of the condition in order for me to be able to regulate my lifestyle or my. I wasn't a habitual drinker.
Okay.
I was a normal drinker, I would say. But of course, what we do will either escalate the situation. So the tumor was there, but also my lifestyle to some extent contributed for it escalating towards becoming a cancerous situation. And I only figured out after I got the diagnosis, so I didn't know. So
before the diagnosis, did you fall sick? Did you go to the hospital when you were already in a bad state, or did you just walk in for a checkup and you're diagnosed?
No, I used to have some pains in the stomach. I think from 2014 it started escalating. So I would go to a doctor after let's say a night out. It tomorrow I would have a bad stomachache, or even that time when I would be out, I would step out with friends after one drink or two, let's say after an oily meal, let's say pork meal or something.
Then you'd have stomach
I
issues.
get an immediate stomachache. So I'd go to a point where I could, let's say, have one drink and immediately the situation is triggered by the condition. So I would have a bad stomachache, I throw up, then I have all sorts of spasms in the stomach. So the signs escalated and increased around 2014. So I think one fateful evening, it was 25th of July 2015, I got a horrible, I think I had stepped out. There was a Nyamachoma festival, so I ate quite some meat, mixed it with some oil here and there, a drink or two, and then that night I could not sleep. I had very bad stomachache. I think I took a meal that was also a bit oily at home that Sunday evening, and then Monday morning I couldn't literally walk. The pain was too much. That pain, when you step down, you feel something holding,
like there was,
in your stomach.
Oh,
so I decided
painful.
I talked to my wife about it. She said, you need to see a doctor. I think this is happening very often. And I went to the hospital, Kwa de Sud, that's what they call it, at Kisement. So there was this Ethiopian doctor who had gotten on to each other because I used to go there often. And he said, I think I will do some more checks because this situation keeps recurring, so there could be an underlying cause. So he did some blood tests and then gave me some tablets to ease the pain at the moment. And then I also submitted my stool, and then he said, go take the tabs, come back tomorrow. So the next day when I came, he said, I'm seeing some unusual signs in your blood samples, so I think I need to do some more tests. So he said, lie on the bed. I went on the bed. He used the ultrasound to check the situation in my stomach. So the moment he just rubbed it over my liver, around my liver area, he said, no, I'm seeing something unusual. I'm seeing something big. I mean, it's the size of a baby almost, a baby who is forming. So
was your stomach swollen?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't at the time. But of course I was a bit chubby, so I would perhaps, maybe people would think I'm just healthy. You know?
Yeah.
So the doctor said, you haven't had any liver complications before? I said, no. He said, I'm seeing an object. I'm seeing an organ on your liver, a mass. So he sent me to do a CT scan. So I went to a referral hospital in Kigali. They did for me a CT scan. It wasn't very specific. It was saying there's a tumor somewhere in the liver or intestines, so we are not very sure. So he said, no, go to another clinic somewhere in Kimihurura. There's a clinic called Medhi. He said, I trust those guys. They're going to do for you a very good MRI, and then you come back. So I went, did the MRI. I was still in pain, excruciating pain, you know. So I took back the tests, but before I took back the tests, I read the report, accompanied the images. And
you were that impatient,
yes,
you couldn't wait to go to the
because
doctor.
I tend to read a lot about medicine.
Yeah.
I think in my other life I would have been a doctor. So I went to the doctor, but I was ready because I was seeing signs. They were saying it's a malignant mass, it seems to be very active, chances are it could be cancerous, so I saw it also. I went to a doctor, and the moment I went with my wife this time. The moment I gave him the report, he said, I'm going to give you a transfer to India or Kenya, whatever, but I don't think they can do the type of surgery I want to recommend. What you need right now is a surgery called a resection. They need to take off that mass. If you're in that kind of pain, there are chances that it is cancerous. And you don't need
So at that point, he's not saying it's cancerous.
It's not.
He's saying we first remove the mass.
And the signs in the blood tests, my INR was very high. The INR is the ability for the blood to clot. So, and usually when your INR is very high, it's a sign that it's one of the signs. And my other test, which is called I remember the name as we go on, and they were all positive. So he suspected
so those are bad
cancer.
signs.
So he was of the view that instead of confirming that it is cancerous, just go there, remove it. If it is not, very soon it is going to be cancerous, because if you have that kind of pain, surely something is going on in your tumor. So he referred me to Apollo Hospital in India right away. So I looked at him and said, how? All of a sudden I need to go to India. And then he talked to my wife and said, he's not taking this issue seriously. You need to
do it on his behalf.
If you have children, you just have to act now. Don't wait to confirm if it is cancerous. Because by the time you confirm, it could have spread elsewhere outside that tumor. You need a government hospital to qualify what they are saying. So I went to King Faisal Hospital. I showed the doctor the reports. They said, they have already done the scan, so we don't need to do a scan again. What we can do, we're going to do a biopsy on the tumor, ascertain whether it's cancerous or not. So when they wanted to do the procedure, they found that my blood was actually very dilute. It couldn't clot, which is a very bad sign. So I had to be given, I think, a liter of platelets to make my blood thicker and able to clot. And then they did the procedure to get the pieces of the tumor. So they did the biopsy, they sent the results out, and I think the process of culturing them and making them, produce the actual results takes some 3 weeks or so. I started losing weight, of course, well knowing that there could be an underlying case of cancer at this point. So around, I think, towards the end of August, the doctor called me back. Dr. Mendezo from King Faisal called me.
The results had arrived.
He told me the results are here. So I said, what's in? What have you seen? So he said, no, I can't tell you on phone. So I was taking it very easy. So he said, are you married?
I wonder why you're taking it so easy.
I couldn't
I think any human being would be really worried if they were told they had cancer.
Well, any other human being...
The few other people we've talked to would say, no way.
Yeah, but before that, he'd been some sort of denial. So we walk in, so he starts off, he was very calm, he's a very calm guy. And he says he has bad news and good news. Bad news, I said bad news first. And he said, yes, the tumor, the results are back, there is cancer. Good news, it's at a stage where it is treatable. It was, I think, on second stage, going to third stage. Second stage is manageable. Third stage, fourth stage, it's quite advanced.
Almost done.
It's a hassle. It's very difficult to stop that cancer. So he said, if you got treatment real quick, it can be treated. If it takes long, you might spread. Maybe it might go to your portal veins, and then it's carried in the blood. The cells are carried in the blood. They end up in other parts of the body. So he referred my case to an oncologist. Doctor said, yeah, it's treatable, but we think you can't have this kind of treatment here. The kind of treatment I think you are able to get can't be done here, so you need to go
got to leave the country.
So he said, since you're a young man with a young family, I'm going to put your case before the medical referral board, and perhaps then they will decide what to do. But usually for them to decide, it depends on the stage of the cancer. So if it's treatable, the government usually here will support you. It doesn't matter who you are.
Okay.
So he took my file to the medical referral board. So we went home. I drove home. So we broke the news to the family, and we were stuck. We didn't know what to do, because we had asked the doctor on the rates, that the money that would be required, to have a resection in India. I said it's around, it can go up to $20,000. Yes. So, as you know, journalists don't earn that much. So I said, well, I'll talk to my family. So, but while at it, I don't know how the news got out. One of the journalists here called Teo, he has a website called Ukwezi, called me and said, Edmund, we can do a campaign for you, don't wait for the money. I said, no, I don't want this information out. I said, no, this is private information.
I never wanted to burden.
I was in that dilemma. Should I keep it to myself and family, even just a few members of the family, or should I just wait for my fate? You know, it's that dilemma you are in, and you don't know what to do at that point, because when you think of the money involved in cancer treatment and you know, raising
I think that times there are people that surrender.
Yes,
you know,
some
this
people give
amount
up.
I will not raise,
You
I
see,
give up, let me just die.
I read a certain book that a certain medical journal that says that most people die because they give up on the treatment because it's so costly.
Yes.
Even in Western countries which are more advanced, the kind of treatment I got in India can cost you up to 500,000. The resection, then 3 other procedures, tests, 2 chemoembolization therapies, plus another one called portal vein embolization. I'll go to those later.
That's just too much.
It's quite some money. It's quite a lot of money. Then you put in expenses. I spent almost 5 months and 3 weeks in India.
Like you stayed there for that long?
3 months, then we came back to get a liver donor. Then we went back for another 3 months. They did 2 more procedures that we had to, I went there in September 2015, returned towards Christmas the same year, went back mid-January, returned in April. So that's actually close to 6 months.
Yes.
So
and of course you're spending, I imagine you're staying in a hotel, but even if it's not a hotel, even if it's the hospital.
Near the hospital. They could be, let's say, $25, $30 a room. If you spend a long time, it can go up to 3,000, even up to 6,000 in bills, accommodation only, and as meals and of course tickets. At the time, one day I was not going to India, so we were paying around 1,200, 300 for a ticket.
For a ticket, yeah.
So I would go.
And I'm sure you did not
wife
go alone.
And my sister to be a donor. So it was quite costly, very costly. So when the results came out and there was cancer, I decided to tell my family. So I refused to tell the other journalists to do a campaign. So they have an in-law in the US. My sister's husband called me and said, Edmund, it's something called crowdfunding here. You go to a website called GoFundMe, write your story as a journalist, tell it as it is. Say you have 2 young daughters, tell your story, really, passionately. So I'll share it with my friends here in the US and we'll contribute, we'll raise the money and you go for treatment. I said, fine. So I wrote the story in the bottom of my heart, really. And then when I shared it on GoFundMe, it prompted me to share on my Facebook.
Yep. And so
and
the people at home,
And
I saw it on your Twitter because it remains online. It's still there.
It went really viral. It went really viral. Then even the journalists that denied the story got it.
Got the story.
They wrote it. Everyone really stood up and supported me. I would find money in my mobile money.
Wow. People you did not know.
People who work house helps.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
And I also had traditional healers from Burundi, from DRC, from Tanzania calling me, don't go to Bazungu, they will kill you.
Come to me, I will
Come to us, we'll heal you with our herbs and you pay us after. The people from Dubai contributed $500. They don't know me. Arabs, probably my story wouldn't have
just got touched by the story.
They just said, we'll support you.
Yes.
We're not even 3 days into the campaign. The Minister of Health called me and said, look, Edmund, the government is going to take care of your medical bills. But thank God we had raised some money.
Yes.
Because we had not anticipated that I would spend that long in India. We would have also to come back and then go back. So when the minister called me and said, we are going to pay your bills, it was a relief for me because honestly, we were not anticipating how much it would cost for me to get to the end of the treatment. It was way, way higher than
you had expected.
What we had expected, what we were raising. We were raising 23,000. If I recall well, the bill I brought here for the government went up to 38,500. Unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah.
And then if you factor in the accommodation in India and the meals and the air tickets, it also went up to around 18,000 in costs. So it was massive. It was an effort of many people. I alone, my family
You'd
alone,
never have been able to do
done
it.
That. So I got on the first plane, left my wife behind with the girls. One of the daughters was just 8 months.
You've got 2 daughters.
Yes, 2 beautiful daughters. One of them was 8 months at the time. So I went to Bangalore, India, with my letter. The process was very smooth, really. Everywhere I presented my documents for the visa, they would say, the government of Rwanda, no. We know them, they take care of their citizens. When I got there, the team of doctors said, since the tumor was big, a resection, that that procedure of cutting off a certain part of my liver with the tumor would not be very effective. So they say you will need a transplant. So they did for me the initial 2 treatments to suppress the tumor. It's called TESS, transarterial chemoembolization, very painful procedure. They inject chemo, concentrated chemo directly into your liver through your arteries. They put catheters in your arteries, then they send them to you. That place using a computer.
Do they give anesthesia before they do that?
They do, of course. They do. It's very painful.
Yeah.
So then they direct that chemo straight to the tumor, then they seal it off so that it doesn't spread to other parts of the liver. Then after 3 weeks of pain and rolling and turning in bed and crying and vomiting, all sorts of things, they check. It was, I think, dead by 95%. So they said another round to kill the 5%.
Yeah.
Test is only effective for let's say 3 years, then it comes back. The tumors are very stubborn. So after the second round it wasn't as aggressive as the first one, because I was now used to the drugs, the chemo drugs in my liver. So after that, they ascertained that it's almost necrotic, dead, or dry, because it's called necrosis. So they send me back to Rwanda to look for a donor, a sibling, more preferably, because the liver transplant is one of those complicated transplants. They said you need a sibling for it to be, for your body to at least to come closer to accepting an external organ. So a sibling has more chances, and you have to match, well, let's say 99.6%. So I came back here, I told my family we are coming for a donor. So they're waiting for us, and when I got here, I had 5 people who were willing to be my donors. 4 sisters and a cousin sister of mine from Kampala.
So you took all of them in to get
5
tested?
5 of them, I walked into the hospital, the doctor said, Edmund, you'll never die.
You have all these people willing to save you.
So the doctor said, we'll start with one who lives nearer, because there's many tests, around 40 tests or something, for you to be compatible.
Tests.
Very many tests, a million tests. She has to be 100% healthy, no conditions like hepatitis, HIV, check everything. So the first one they checked Doreen, my sister. We were very compatible, 99 point something.
Whole process. Somebody will even give up along the way.
Back on the back of my mind, I was thinking about my daughters. So it would push me. I would think about my wife with them, and I'm like, no, I can't.
So let me just keep going.
I can't go now. So it really pushed me. So we got the notary's office, notified all the documents, got on the plane back to India with Doreen. When you go to India, you go through the government processes also to make sure the person who's going to donate to you is a sibling. So they verify all these documents to make sure you're not paying for an organ. Because it's illegal. Under the international law, you can't sell your organ to another person anymore. It used to
anymore, because it used to happen.
It used to happen.
Yeah.
But now
I thought it still happens until
it's
today.
Illegal. You can't sell your kidney or organ.
Okay. And what if somebody doesn't have a relative?
You donate them. The government gives them to the most.
Okay, so I donate my organ. I'll give it out for free to the government.
Yes.
And the government will decide who they will save.
Yes. They put them on the list.
I would want to make some money.
Who needs it most? You want to sell one of your organs?
I want to sell one of my...
Good luck. You can't. So
I am late.
When we go to India, the team of doctors was no longer there. The ones I left there. So the lead doctor had been poached by another hospital. See, Indian doctors, the experienced ones, are like footballers. They are poached by the best. After getting the government green light, they called another team. It's a hospital which has branches in different parts of India. So they called another team from Chennai, led by one of the best liver doctors in the world. They had practiced in England, one of the best hospitals in England and Canada. So he came over to do the transplant. He had actually come to do the transplant. So he asked me for my scans, incidentally. So I just looked at them and said, Edmund, who decided a transplant for you? I said, the doctor who was here before. I said, no, a transplant is an option we use when it's the last option. But if we have other means of treatment, we use them, and then in case of a recurrence, then we can do a transplant after. But we can start with the resection, which I
not
believe
the transplant.
is doable. given the positioning of your tumor. My tumor was on the right lobe, the big one, and they can even remove all of it. It's well positioned. Some tumors are in the middle, because most people with liver cancer, only 15% are resectable. 85% they are not resectable because either the tumor is in the middle,
right in the middle, yeah,
on a vein, on a portal
very
vein,
badly positioned.
Yes. So sometimes the whole liver has to go. For me, it was on the side. As big as it was on this side. It was actually pushing towards the back. So the doctor said, no, let me send you down to another department of radiology. They check what can be resected off your liver and what can remain, and the quality of what can remain. Because sometimes your liver can be cirrhotic. By the time you become cancerous, you have a condition called cirrhosis or ascites. So it makes it, it
really
either
have
has
to read
water,
on these things.
It either has water in it or it is cracking. So if it is cirrhotic, it can't be resectable. It has to be clean. Very nice liver that can remain, because if it's not in good shape, then it can be overwhelmed by the blood. Yes, all of it has to go. So they checked. They found that I could stay with around 40% of my liver, 35. So 75, 65 can go. I stay with 35. So,
but you could survive on 35,
quality,
eh?
The quality was good, very good. It wasn't cirrhotic, neither was it ascitic. And so they said, no, did it have jaundice? You know, jaundice, the condition that the liver has almost in another stage towards completely failing.
Is that what we see on images of the liver all eaten up?
It becomes yellowish with some patches on it.
Yes, with patches.
So I didn't have jaundice, I didn't have cirrhosis, neither was it ascitic. Ascites, whatever it is.
It was healthy.
Yes, it was healthy. I could stay, but 35 was small. For a man of my size, they said, could be a bit small. So they had to do another procedure called portal vein embolization. They cut off blood supply to the other part they will cut off. They direct it into the small part you remain with. They cut the oxygen and blood, direct it to the what you remain with, and then it grows. If it grows, that's a very good sign. So they directed it to the part that would remain. They sealed it off, so the other part starts dying.
And your sister was in India with you?
Yeah,
the donor was there?
Yes, she was waiting.
Waiting.
She was like a sacrificial lamb waiting.
Yes.
So they did it. I waited for another 3 weeks. They check again. It had expanded. The small part I was supposed to remain with. So
that was a good sign.
Yes, the doctor said, Doreen, you're off the hook. You're just going to do the surgery, but you still stay here. If it fails in the theater, if the let's say it gets overwhelmed, because all our blood goes through the liver.
Yeah.
So see, if it gets overwhelmed because it's small, then we can do the transplant. So after the surgery, still Doreen was not safe. So I was wheeled into the theater on March 4th, 2016, for the big surgery, the resection, and I think it lasted around 10.5 hours. It's a massive surgery. They cut down up to the side. And they did. I came out very well. I don't remember anything.
Thank God. Yeah.
From that, they cut me off completely. They put you to sleep. But the kind of care. By the time they put me out, I knew I was in very safe hands, because you see the commitment, you see the equipment, you see the team of people. I woke up around 8 hours later in the HDU.
8 hours after the surgery.
Yes, in the intensive care unit, and it's a ward of its own, very big. You find like they did 10 transplants, 50 resections.
There were other patients in there with you.
So this tells you how these people have mastered the art of medicine. And of course, I woke up surrounded by another 10 or 6 or 8 people. Man, are you okay? They are very keen, taking notes. I said, I'm okay. So somehow I come back to life, and spent 6 days in the HDU. Wheeled into the main wards. I think on the 8th day I was walking. It was a big surgery. Right from here, they cut up to your navel, then they go up to the side.
But if it was a big surgery, if you're walking by the 8th day, it also means it was a successful one.
Actually, they pushed me to walk earlier than that, if I recall. So things turned out well. I
Yeah,
started
with
recovering
everything, so-
super fast. I think in about 3 weeks they took off the stitches and things were very intact, and they checked, and the liver was growing and healing from the wound. Of course, they cut and they used radiation
to like seal it.
yes, to seal it completely. So it showed signs it was healing and regenerating. I think in 3 weeks it had regenerated to normal size. And I think on April 6th, the day before the commemoration,
Yeah.
2016, I came back to Rwanda.
Wow.
And I was
And by the
obliged
time
to
you
go
came
back.
back, had they confirmed you were safe?
Yes, the resection totally.
It
Because
totally
after
got rid
the
of
initial treatment of
any
tests,
threats.
chemo-based treatment, I could go for 3 years without any. After resection, definitely, that's they only
That's it.
monitor to see if there's a recurrence, because tumors tend to be stubborn. They can
Yeah.
grow back the same liver.
Yeah.
That's
Or they'll find
generated.
another part.
Yes, they can pop up somewhere in
Somewhere
the intestines.
else.
They're just stubborn. So I had to do tests every 3 months, and I left India here in Rwanda. Then would go back after 1 year. Every 3 months I do my test. Then around March 2017, I went back. Everything was okay.
Wow.
So they said no sign of recurrence,
Wow.
no sign of growth, no sign of anything elsewhere.
That was great.
They did a PET CT scan and it was very perfect.
Yeah.
And I said, now just you can
Amazing.
come back after 2 years.
For people that, unlike you, are not in a position or were never in a position to raise money to go out of the country for medication, will this be a savior?
It's a massive. We already had cancer treatment services here.
Yes.
In King Faisal, in Kanombe, in Butaro, in Seashube, in Butare, and I think what we're seeing now is an addition of new forms of treatment, which a lot of money to get outside of Rwanda. Radiotherapy is one of the key treatments of cancer.
Of course,
one of the
yes.
most effective treatments of cancer. And being able to do it here, being able to do it with the latest machines on the market, is something I can't actually describe in words. This is a massive step. This is a massive development that the government and partners have really put in place. And what we need now is more people staffing. I think we have around 5 oncologists now scattered in all the hospitals. We need more oncologists. Of course, they get support from other doctors, other physicists, but certainly this is a very huge step, and you can't measure the difference it's going to make in terms of people accessing treatment, and the fact that people can access treatment using Mituel.
Yes, using amazing.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unheard of anywhere in these
Anywhere else.
in developing countries. So this is a massive step. But my fear is many cases are coming up. We have more cases than the center can handle on its own. And also there's a shortage of oncologists in the country. So we need more oncologists, but so far this is a very good foundation, and this is a massive step
It's a great step.
towards minimizing cancer death in Rwanda.
Yeah. How did your life change after winning this battle?
I would say this is it's a continuous process. You live a day at a time, because it goes back to observing what you eat, making sure everything you do does not impact your life or put you back in that situation, because it changes your life in ways that it's a total overhaul, it's a total turnaround of your life, because the me now and the me before the cancer OD was two different people.
Two different people.
I'm now more careful with what I do, what I eat, what I drink. I'm very cautious of my lifestyle and other things that can probably lead to
the
I'm also
recurrence.
the way I value life right now is very different.
Yeah, I wanted to know that. Like, when you come from that's a near-death situation. Do you value life more? Do you value people more? Because we saw people come through for you.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. There's a lot of responsibility it puts on you in terms of what you do and how you relate with people. Personally, I don't think I could have done it on my own or with my family. when I look back and realize it's people who did this for me, I can't find enough words to thank them or the country. I was at a point where of course, in between that struggle, on certain days or certain nights, you give up. Somehow the devil will come in and you say, what am I fighting for? But after surviving cancer, then everything becomes very important. Okay. Everything. You value everything. Because life has its own troubles. It throws at you a lot of tests. But then I think for me what I got from that was the resilience to live, the desire to live more and longer. So no amount of trouble can make me go off track and then lose it and become desperate. I remember what I came through, what I fought at the time, and the tests that I'm going through, the trials and tribulations I'm going through at the moment. Yes. And nothing can
compare to that. Yes.
So nothing whatsoever.
And when you look at your girls growing up, running, how does that make you feel?
The thing
just knowing that you almost, left them on their own.
The thing with cancer, it lingers around. Like sometimes I look at them and I'm like, what if it comes back? Oh. So it never goes away completely. Yeah. But I've had good times with them. Even if I died, let's say today, I would say,
God forbid.
I would say I lived a little longer. I got a chance to get to talk to them because at the time they were not able to talk. They were babies, they knew nothing. Yeah. But right now we talk. We are at a level where we hold a conversation. The other day I was talking to, they asked me about death. One of the schoolmates lost a dad. And they told them at school, they assembled them and they told them, Papa so-and-so passed on. So they became aware of death. When Leona came and told Laura about death of a friend's dad, and they started talking about death. And I was sitting, they asked me a few questions about why do people die, where do they go? So I told them. And they asked me too many questions. So I said, when would I have talked to these girls if I had died? And certainly when you had a close shave with cancer, you are very conscious. When something pops up on your body, a small pain,
you will have it
checked. Then you start thinking, could it be another cancer coming through? I don't know. So it's a continuous battle.
And one thing I noticed, and you're quite popular on social media, as an influencer, I've noticed you constantly reminding us to get checked every now and then. And you insist that cancer is curable if it's diagnosed early. Now, as we come to the close of this conversation, I just would like you to emphasize that. The person that is watching and, they take it lightly.
Well, our bodies give us signs. The doctor told me our bodies give us signs. Nothing happens randomly. Nothing happens all of a sudden. Sometimes you think you're healthy, move around, have fun, enjoy life, But there are signs our bodies give us and we ignore them. When I was diagnosed, I realized that I had been getting signs before, like maybe 4 years before. But I was not paying attention to them. I was just focused on living my life and enjoying life. I had my medical insurance in my pocket. My employers used to pay for me medical insurance.
You would not use it.
Get a cough, buy quick reliefs. So at some point I lost hair. And I lost my hair. I got patches. And when you have a liver condition, one of the signs is hair loss. So when I got hair loss, I was concerned with gaining back my hair and not getting the root cause of my hair loss. So I went to a doctor. The doctor said, no, your hair will come back. You could be balding or something. But these were patches, so it was not balding. And balding comes with stages. It either starts here going backwards or here, spreading to the other parts. But for me, these were patches. So it was not balding whatsoever. So the doctor just, got for me, she treated the symptoms. She gave me some injections in the head actually.
Oops.
Like 6 injections and the hair came back. Got back my hair. Looked cool and that's it. But
the problem had not been solved. Yes.
So these signs, we shouldn't ignore them. One day you're walking and you get pain somewhere in your heart, stinging pain somewhere in your heart.
Respond
you
immediately.
Get some stomach upsets all of a sudden.
I get those quite a lot myself.
You need to check. You need to check. There's nothing that happens with no reason. So it can't be food poisoning all the time.
No.
Yes, there has to be an underlying cause. Whether you find you have ulcers or something in the colon, intestines, or in your liver, or in your pancreas, or your gallbladder is producing. I don't know. There's always a condition.
And whatever it is, as long as it's diagnosed early, it can be
so the more
taken
we
care of.
postpone with painkillers, these are the quick remedies. And
those the 5 liter
herbals
that you get.
Yes. So by the time you go for the real issue, you'll find that it's advanced. Your cancer is advanced. So the doctor was telling me, by the time you go you come here, most of the time, by the time you come here, the condition is advanced. And it's quite problematic. So you need to check, you need to be conscious. To see the signs your body gives you and
don't ignore the signs.
Don't work on them.
Thank you so much for watching. Our guest today was Edmund Kagire. He's a journalist in Rwanda, a Rwandan journalist. He's worked for several media houses, as we said in the beginning, Nation Media Group. He's worked for the New Times. He currently writes for Kigali Today. He's a social media influencer, somebody who's willing to share with you his cancer journey. At Kagire is his Twitter handle. Please do follow him, Edmund Kagire, on the other platforms as well. If you have a question, you have a relative who's undergoing treatment or therapy, please consult Edmund. He's always willing to help. And as you heard while he was concluding, early diagnosis will save you. So whatever pain you're feeling, don't take it lightly. Don't self-medicate. Do not prolong it and do not postpone it. The more you postpone that diagnosis, the worse the situation will become. As usual, we appreciate you for watching Evolve Rwanda. That's our hashtag, Evolve Rwanda, on Evolve TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspirational stories. I'm Jackie. Thank you for watching.